Have you ever wondered about the hidden cost of suppressing your emotions in a world that constantly demands strength, independence, and resilience from women? Society often teaches women that to be loved, they must sacrifice their softness, hide their vulnerabilities, and silence their innermost needs. Over time, this cultural conditioning causes women to lose touch with a powerful part of themselves, the innocent, intuitive little girl within. Carl Jung said that none of this is your fault. It's the result of an unhealed inner child. According to Jung, as long as that little girl remains suppressed in the unconscious, your feminine energy stays locked away. So, how do we free this lost part of ourselves and reconnect with our true feminine essence? How do we tap into our intuition, embrace our gentleness, and experience receptive strength rather than simply enduring life as if we're bracing for a storm? Jung's philosophy holds the answer. To truly heal and awaken, we must return to the beginning, to where the little girl was left behind in the shadows of the past. In this video, I'll guide you through the process of healing your inner girl and the journey to reclaiming the feminine energy you were born with. Stay with me until the end. This might just be the message you've been waiting for. When a grown woman finds herself constantly exhausted from relationships, feeling lonely despite being surrounded by people, or overreacting to trivial matters, she may wonder, maybe I'm just too sensitive, or maybe I'm weak. But Carl Jung pointed out that these emotional reactions are not flaws. Instead, they're echoes of a past that hasn't been fully healed, the voice of the little girl within, still silently screaming in the unconscious. Jung believed that the psyche is not a single, unified entity, but rather a complex system made up of the ego, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. We each carry fragments of our past selves, those parts of us that were rejected, forgotten, or deemed too weak to belong. One of the most important fragments for women is the inner child, the little girl who was hurt and felt unloved. She doesn't simply vanish over time. She retreats to the unconscious, where she continues to carry feelings of inadequacy, fear, and emotional pain. She remains in that dark corner of the mind, shaping the emotional responses and choices of the adult woman today. Have you ever tried to act fine when your partner ignores your messages, or hidden your hurt when someone criticizes you? Have you ever felt like you couldn't breathe when you were rejected, even in a simple situation like a group meeting? That's not the adult you reacting. It's the little girl inside, replaying old emotional wounds. And because she was never heard, every time a similar situation arises, that wound gets carved a little deeper. Jung called this phenomenon the shadow. It's the part of the psyche where we hide the emotions, thoughts, and beliefs we don't want to face. For many women, the inner child becomes part of the shadow, holding on to fears of abandonment, invisibility, and a deep-rooted belief that their worth lies only in pleasing others. These beliefs don't form overnight. They are born from experiences during childhood. When a little girl's emotions are dismissed, when she's scolded for crying or compared to others, her psyche doesn't understand these actions as an issue with the world around her. It internalizes them as, I'm not good enough to be loved. These early experiences create a psychological map for life. Please others to be loved, or be yourself, and face abandonment. This is the first unconscious mechanism that causes many women to lose themselves from a young age. This pain doesn't disappear. It transforms into a hidden script for living. You might find yourself attracting relationships that mirror old wounds, falling in love with someone distant, just like the emotionally unavailable father you had. Or you might find yourself working under a boss who constantly criticizes you, just like when your mother compared you to others as a child. This isn't a coincidence. Jung called this unconscious repetition, or repetition compulsion. The mind keeps recreating old wounds in the hope that they will finally be healed. But without awareness, all we do is keep reliving the pain, unable to break free. The danger is that we start to believe this is just our fate, that we're unlucky in love, or that we must tough it out in life. But this isn't destiny. This is unresolved past trauma. Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Jung also pointed to the role of the ego, the part of the psyche responsible for our sense of self, our survival mechanisms, and how we adapt to life. When the inner child is wounded, the ego steps in as an overprotective shield. It helps us build an image of strength, independence, and success. But this armor comes at a cost. You may become the strong, independent woman everyone admires, someone who doesn't need anyone, but deep down, you might be utterly exhausted from keeping that fragile little girl hidden beneath layers of toughness. Imagine a 35-year-old woman, financially independent, with a respected career, who in her personal life feels emotionally overwhelmed. She panics when loved, fears abandonment, and becomes paralyzed with pain when rejected. She might excel in the workplace, leading meetings and negotiating deals, but when it comes to expressing her feelings with someone she loves, she's terrified. Deep inside, she's not loving as an adult woman. She's loving as that little girl still searching for the affection she never received. This is an incredibly common pattern, but it often goes unrecognized. Society doesn't teach women to connect with their inner world. It teaches them how to be good enough to be accepted. Yet the more we try to please others and earn their love, the further we drift away from ourselves. Jung believed that wholeness isn't achieved by cutting off parts of yourself. It's achieved through integration. That's why it's so crucial to bring the inner child into the light, not to control you, but so that you can finally hear your true voice. The first step to healing is recognizing that part of you is hurting and giving it the attention it deserves. When you start listening to that inner girl, you begin to realize the truth. Oh, I react this way because I was silenced as a child. This understanding doesn't erase the past, but it helps you make peace with it. Healing is about acknowledging the pain and bringing that wounded little girl back into your life, so she no longer controls your emotional reactions. This is the beginning of reclaiming your true power and feminine essence. We aren't born disconnected from our feminine energy. It's embedded deeply within our soul, like a guiding beacon, a wellspring of creativity, intuition, gentleness, and receptivity. Yet, over time, this sacred energy is suppressed by society's rigid expectations. Women are told to be strong but not too soft, beautiful but not too striking, and successful but not too confident. Under these pressures, feminine energy doesn't disappear. It simply retreats into the shadows, replaced by protective layers formed from unhealed wounds. Carl Jung described this process as a detachment from the archetypal self. When the feminine essence is stifled, it's not lost. It's hidden, buried beneath fears, societal conditioning, and internalized shame. Jung called this energy thema, the deep, gentle force that connects us to our emotions, intuition, and subconscious mind. However, when the inner child experiences wounding, particularly during the formative years, this essence is the first thing to be blocked off. A girl who is scolded for crying too much, criticized for being too delicate, or mocked for dreaming too big starts to believe that her emotions are inconvenient, that her gentleness is a weakness, and that her dreams are something to hide. She grows up learning to suppress these parts of herself, to hide her softness, and to find safety only in being steady, rational, and controlled. But what is the cost of this suppression? It's a fracture from the very source of creativity, vitality, and authenticity. The natural flow of feminine energy is restricted, leaving the woman disconnected from her deepest self. Feminine energy is not about appearances or gender. It's a sacred power that exists within everyone, regardless of gender. It's the part of your soul that invites love in, that flows with life, rather than forcing it. It's the intuitive whisper that says, "Slow down, you are safe." It's playfulness, sensuality, vulnerability, and the beauty of simply being. However, for many women, this energy is suppressed early on. Perhaps you were taught that emotions are messy, that softness equals weakness, or that desires and expression are too much. You might have grown up in an environment that praised logic and achievement while shaming intuition and sensitivity. As a result, the inner child, the one who once danced freely, dreamed boldly, and expressed herself without shame, learned to shrink and hide her essence. Strength became armor, but over time, this armor buried her truth. Jung taught that the inner child is the root of our freedom, creativity, and emotional vitality. So, if you've struggled to relax, to enjoy pleasure without guilt, or to express your femininity without fear, you're not off track. You've simply been blocked. You've been trying to survive in a world that demands you abandon yourself. But now is the time to heal that inner little girl. She's the one who holds the keys to your return to the woman you were always meant to be. Think of your feminine energy like a small stream flowing through a quiet valley. At first, it's cool, fluid, winding naturally around rocks and trees, simply being itself. But one day, the stream encounters a massive boulder. It doesn't know why the boulder is there, but it knows it must change its course to keep flowing. So, it adapts, slipping through cracks and narrow gaps, learning to navigate the obstacle. Over time, the stream starts to believe that if it flows too strongly, more obstacles will appear. For many women, this is how their feminine energy becomes blocked. The stream of natural, uninhibited creativity and intuition becomes stifled as they learn to navigate a world that demands they abandon their essence to survive. They begin to follow rigid rules, outdated beliefs, and societal expectations. I am only worthy if I make others happy. Sound familiar? And like the blocked stream, the deepest part of a woman's feminine energy no longer reaches the light. But to reclaim that natural flow, a woman must feel safe in her body, heart, and emotions. The inner child who was never unconditionally loved cannot feel safe to open up and receive love. As a result, she becomes suspicious, controlling, and rational, always analyzing everything and needing certainty before she can trust. This behavior creates barriers between her and her feminine essence, not because the essence is absent, but because she was once taught that living in it was dangerous. The tragedy is that most women don't realize this suppression is happening. They think they've simply grown up and become wiser, but in reality, they're just repeating the survival patterns they developed as children. Jung didn't see the restoration of feminine energy as a moral lesson. It's a spiritual task, a process of reconnecting with your original soul. This process begins with acceptance, compassion, and integration of the shadow parts of yourself. When you dare to sit with the parts of you that society labels as weak, emotional, or too much and say, "I see you, I accept you," something magical begins to unfold. You begin to change from the inside out. You begin to feel, create, and love without fear of loss. You no longer need to push to be recognized because you'll be shining naturally from an inner source that can't be extinguished. The dormant feminine essence within you will awaken, and with it, a deeper connection to your authenticity. The woman you were always meant to be will start to emerge, radiant, intuitive, magnetic, and free. The process of reconnecting with your feminine energy isn't a simple task. It's a journey of reintegration, of reclaiming what was always yours but was buried. But this journey isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about returning to the fullness of who you've always been. It's a return to the original you, the one who was once free to play, to dream, to express herself without shame. Jung called this journey individuation, the process of becoming whole, of integrating all the parts of yourself, including the fragments that were rejected, the aspects you once thought were too weak or too much. Individuation isn't about adding something new to your life. It's about stripping away everything that doesn't belong to you, including the roles, beliefs, and survival mechanisms you've been carrying since childhood. Individuation requires confronting the shadow, the parts of yourself you once rejected, and bringing them into the light of consciousness. It's a journey downward and inward, to the roots of who you are. It's about making peace with your past, confronting old wounds, and learning to live with the contradictions and complexities that make you whole. Only when you integrate these parts can you step into a life that is authentic, autonomous, and profound. You'll no longer strive to be someone else, because you'll finally be living as the person you were meant to be. Jung emphasized that the ultimate goal of life is not to become an ideal version of yourself, but to become whole. The process of individuation, which Carl Jung describes as the path to becoming your true self, is not a quick or easy journey. It's not about achieving perfection or striving for some external ideal, as modern society often encourages. Instead, individuation is about embracing the fullness of who you are, both light and shadow, strength and vulnerability, rationality and emotion. It's about reconciling all the parts of yourself that you once thought were incompatible and integrating them into a whole, cohesive being. Individuation is not about adding something new to your life. It's about shedding the layers of false beliefs, protective barriers, and external expectations that have accumulated over the years. Jung believed that wholeness comes from within, through a deep process of self-acceptance and integration. As you embark on this journey, you'll find that the more you integrate the parts of yourself you once rejected, the more you'll start to feel free. At the heart of this journey is the inner child, the little girl who holds the key to your true feminine energy. When you begin the process of individuation, you are, in essence, returning to her, to the part of you that was once pure, innocent, and connected to your primal essence. Jung's philosophy teaches us that the inner child isn't something to be left behind or forgotten. Instead, this part of you must be embraced, nurtured, and integrated into the woman you are today. For many women, this means confronting the wounds of the past, the moments of neglect, rejection, and abandonment that were once inflicted on the inner child. But it also means recognizing that those wounds, while painful, have shaped who you are. They are part of your story, but they do not define you. Individuation allows you to make peace with these parts of yourself and create a new narrative, one where you are whole, empowered, and at peace with who you truly are. Returning to your true self doesn't happen overnight. It's not a process that can be rushed or forced. It requires patience, compassion, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. Jung called this the symbolic death, the death of the old self that no longer serves you, to make way for the true self to be born. It's a deeply transformative experience that can feel disorienting at first, as you shed old identities, old beliefs, and old patterns of behavior. However, this disorientation is a sign that you're on the right path. It's a necessary part of the journey toward wholeness. When you begin to let go of the old ways of being, you may feel like you no longer fit into the world you once knew. You may feel lost, uncertain, and unsure of your place. But this disorientation is temporary. It's the space in which your true self can emerge. As you move through this phase, you'll begin to feel a profound sense of freedom. You won't need to seek validation from others anymore, because you'll have accepted yourself. You won't need to conform to external expectations because you'll be living according to your truth. This is the beauty of individuation. It allows you to live authentically, without fear of judgment or rejection. Individuation is not about becoming perfect or idealized. It's about becoming whole, embracing all parts of yourself, the light and the dark, the strong and the weak, the rational and the intuitive. It's a process of continuous growth and self-discovery, and it's a journey that lasts a lifetime. But the rewards of individuation are immeasurable. When you truly integrate all the parts of yourself, you step into a life that is meaningful, fulfilling, and deeply authentic. As you move through the process of individuation, you'll begin to reconnect with your feminine essence. This essence is not something you need to earn or acquire. It's already within you, waiting to be awakened. Feminine energy is a force that transcends societal roles and external expectations. It's a deeply intuitive, creative, and nurturing energy that flows naturally when you allow yourself to trust in it. For many women, reconnecting with their feminine essence means reclaiming the parts of themselves that were once suppressed. It means permitting yourself to feel, to express, and to be vulnerable. It means letting go of the need to control everything and instead trusting in the natural flow of life. This is not about becoming more feminine in the traditional sense. It's about reconnecting with the true source of your power, the essence of who you were before the world told you to shrink, to hide, or to conform. Feminine energy is not about how you look, how much you achieve, or how others perceive you. It's about being in tune with your intuition, creativity, and emotional wisdom. It's about living with authenticity and embracing the full spectrum of your emotions without shame or fear. When you reconnect with your feminine essence, you tap into a deep well of power that is both gentle and fierce, both receptive and creative. This is the true power of feminine energy. It is fluid, dynamic, and life-affirming. One of the biggest challenges women face on the journey to reclaim their feminine essence is the pressure to be perfect. Society often teaches women that they must meet certain standards of beauty, success, and behavior to be accepted and loved. This pressure to be perfect can create a deep sense of inadequacy, leading to feelings of anxiety, self-doubt, and fear of rejection. But perfectionism is a trap. It's an illusion that keeps you disconnected from your true self. The pressure to be perfect only leads to exhaustion, frustration, and self-criticism. It keeps you locked in a cycle of trying to meet external expectations, rather than embracing your truth. The journey of individuation is about breaking free from this cycle. It's about letting go of the need to be perfect, and instead allowing yourself to be real, raw, and vulnerable. It's about accepting that you don't have to have it all together all the time, and that it's okay to make mistakes, to stumble, and to fall. When you embrace your imperfections, you allow yourself to be fully human. And in doing so, you reconnect with your true feminine essence. As you work through the process of healing your inner child and reclaiming your feminine essence, compassion is key. Compassion for yourself, compassion for your past, and compassion for the parts of you that are still hurting. This compassion allows you to integrate your shadow, to forgive yourself for past mistakes, and to heal the wounds that have been buried for so long. Without compassion, it's easy to fall back into old patterns of self-criticism, perfectionism, and self-doubt. But when you approach yourself with love and kindness, you create a space for healing to occur. Compassion allows you to accept your flaws, your weaknesses, and your past without judgment. It helps you reconnect with the part of yourself that was once whole, vibrant, and free. As you continue on this journey toward healing and individuation, one of the most transformative realizations is that you don't need to become something new to reclaim your feminine energy. You simply need to return to who you truly are. Your authentic feminine essence has always been inside you, but it has been buried under layers of conditioning, fear, and self-protection. The process of individuation, the process of integrating your shadow and embracing your inner child, is a return to this essence, a return to your true power. Feminine energy is not something you have to earn or prove to the world. It's the natural force within you, a flow of creativity, intuition, emotional depth, and connection. When you reconnect with your feminine essence, you no longer feel the need to perform or to meet external expectations. You start to trust your intuition more deeply, to allow yourself to feel fully, and to express your emotions without fear of judgment. This process of reclaiming your feminine power doesn't mean you become passive or submissive. On the contrary, feminine energy is incredibly powerful. It's a force that creates, nurtures, and heals. It's the energy that allows you to stand in your truth, to set healthy boundaries, and to live a life aligned with your deepest desires. It's a creative force that flows from within you, not something you need to chase or control. When you reclaim this energy, you reclaim your authenticity. One of the core components of reclaiming your feminine essence is self-acceptance. You must learn to accept yourself fully, without the need for external validation. This means embracing your strengths and weaknesses, your light and your shadow, your emotions and your intellect. Self-acceptance is the key to unlocking your authentic power. For many women, self-acceptance can be difficult because of the constant societal pressure to be perfect. From a young age, women are taught that they must meet certain standards to be worthy of love and acceptance. But this external pressure creates a disconnect from the true self, leading to feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and fear of rejection. The journey to reclaim your feminine energy requires you to let go of these external expectations and to start honoring your worth. Self-acceptance is not about ignoring your flaws or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about embracing yourself as you are, recognizing that your imperfections are part of what makes you unique and beautiful. It's about allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, and to learn and grow without judgment. When you accept yourself fully, you stop seeking validation from others and begin to cultivate an inner sense of worth that is unshakable. As you move forward in your healing journey, remember that the key to unlocking your feminine essence lies in nurturing your inner child. This part of you holds the key to your creativity, intuition, and emotional depth. When you connect with your inner child, you reconnect with the pure, unfiltered part of yourself that was full of life, joy, and possibility. Nurturing the inner child means offering her the love, acceptance, and validation that she may not have received in the past. It means speaking to yourself with kindness, compassion, and patience, just as you would to a young child who is hurt or scared. This practice helps to heal old wounds and create a sense of safety within yourself. When you nurture the inner child, you open yourself up to the full expression of your feminine power. The journey of reconnecting with your feminine energy also involves releasing old wounds and beliefs that have held you back. These are the stories you've told yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, and what you deserve. These beliefs often come from early childhood experiences, moments when your emotions were dismissed, when you were told you were too much, or when you felt unsafe expressing your true self. To release these old wounds, you must first acknowledge them. You need to understand how they've shaped your life and kept you stuck in patterns of self-doubt, perfectionism, and fear. This can be an uncomfortable process, but it's essential for your healing. Once you've identified these wounds, you can begin to challenge the beliefs that stem from them. Ask yourself, is this belief truly mine? Is it serving me? Is it helping me grow? Once you release these limiting beliefs, you create space for new, empowering beliefs to take their place. Beliefs that honor your worth, your creativity, your intuition, and your feminine power. As you release old wounds and embrace new beliefs, you begin to step into your true self, whole, vibrant, and free. Another vital aspect of reconnecting with your feminine energy is awakening your creativity and joy. Feminine energy is deeply tied to the creative force within us all. When we are connected to our feminine essence, we are naturally creative, whether that means expressing ourselves through art, music, writing, or simply the way we live our lives. Reawakening your creativity doesn't require you to be an artist or to have any particular skill. It simply means allowing yourself to create without judgment or expectation. It's about reconnecting with the playful, joyful part of yourself that used to find pleasure in simple things, whether that's painting without a plan, dancing without worrying about how you look, or singing just for the joy of it. Joy is also a form of creativity. It's the energy that allows you to fully experience life, to savor the present moment, and to find beauty in the everyday. When you allow yourself to experience joy without guilt, you open yourself up to a deeper connection with your feminine essence. You allow yourself to feel the fullness of life, free from the constraints of perfectionism or fear. Living authentically means being true to yourself, no matter what anyone else thinks. It's about listening to your inner voice and trusting your intuition. It's about expressing your emotions honestly, setting boundaries that honor your worth, and creating a life that reflects your deepest desires and values. When you live authentically, you stop hiding behind masks or pretending to be someone you're not. You stop seeking approval from others and start living for yourself. This is the power of feminine energy. When you embrace your authenticity, you radiate a magnetism that draws people to you. You no longer need to chase after love or validation because you are already whole and complete. The journey to reclaiming your feminine essence is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to the woman you've always been, whole, creative, intuitive, and powerful. By healing your inner child, embracing your feminine energy, and letting go of old wounds and limiting beliefs, you can step into your true power. This journey may be challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding. It will require courage, patience, and self-compassion, but the rewards are worth it. As you reconnect with your feminine essence, you'll discover a life filled with authenticity, joy, creativity, and love. Remember, you were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be yourself, whole, beautiful, and unique. Your feminine energy is a force that will guide you back to your true self, and when you allow yourself to live from this place of authenticity, you will experience a freedom and peace that comes from fully embracing who you are. Thank you for joining me on this journey of awakening. If this video has resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Your feminine energy is waiting to bloom. Now is the time to let it shine.